I am Slick Nick, and I would like to introduce you to a principle that I recently learned about, and I love it. It's called the 5x5 rule, or another name for it, the 5 stones rule. Here's how it works. Never spend more than 5 minutes worrying about or even thinking about things that won't matter 5 years from now. Don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about things that won't matter 5 years from now. So I have a friend at the gym, and we were talking about this over the past week, really kind of sorting this out. As you all know, I recently turned 40, and we were having that conversation. He's, I think, 37, 38, but he's nearing that. And I was saying, man, I wish I would have known earlier in life that you control so little in your life. Most people worry so much about the things they have no real control over. And then the few things they can control, they don't spend time focusing on those. It's the complete opposite. But somewhere around age 35, I think for a lot of people it kicks in and they start realizing, wow, I'm wasting a lot of time, energy, money, emotions. A lot of our life is wasted on things that we worry about that we can't control. I mean, for example, like, who's the president? We can think that we're voting make a difference, but ultimately, 5 years from now, who the president is probably isn't going to really affect our personal lives 5 years from now. It's probably not going to affect our lives even right now. But we assign emotion to that. We assign allegiance to that. But most of our opinions don't actually matter outside of our own head. And I think that's a lot of it. Me learning my emotions, for the most part, only need to be assigned to a few different things, because those are the things that can nurture and grow. So the 5 stones is another way to put it. What are the 5 stones in your life that you actually want to invest in? So in preparation of this video, I wrote them down for me. I guess you could even say in this order. So number 1 for me out of the 5 is my relationship with God, my understanding of what life is actually about as it relates to God, and as part of the Christian faith, what that means beyond this life. I absolutely believe that our consciousness continues after we die, and how we live this life determines what comes next. There are so many questions I have that I'll never get answers for on that in this life, and I understand that, but that's why it's faith. And it's important to me that I live my life to the best of my ability as the Bible teaches. I think even if you weren't a Christian, I think if you were to apply the emotional intelligence that's taught in the Bible with relationships with people, as far as knowing how to get out of debt and save money and invest, all those things like that, full of all kinds of important life lessons, even if you didn't believe, it still makes a lot of good sense that you would want to follow those principles. But my relationship with God, my faith, ultimately determines more than anything how I live my life. So as far as spending time thinking about that, I don't really want to use the word worry, because I feel like the Bible teaches against worrying. I think it consistently teaches us not to worry, but instead to do what we can on our part, and then have faith that God will take care of the rest. So out of the 5 stones, God, my faith, my Christian faith, number 1. Number 2, my wife. We've been married 13 years. Making sure that I continue to invest and nurture in that relationship with her is obviously very important. And then what comes next would be our family. Because if we don't have our marriage in a good place, it's hard for our family to be in a good place. So our 2 kids. And when I say family, I think we could also lead to the next one, which is career. Well, it's going to be hard for me to take care of my wife and my family if I'm not focused on my career and making sure that I'm doing the best version I can for that. And then the last stone that I'll mention is health. You know, for me personally, maybe a lot of people wouldn't put that on there, but for me, health and fitness is very important to me, because the way I see it, if you don't take care of yourself, what's going to happen? You're going to have to end up on drugs, paying big pharma to take care of you and keep you alive. So many diseases are preventable, and I know that. I've had diseases. I used to have dyshidrotic eczema. I used to have it. It was horrible. I don't have it anymore because I switched my diet and my lifestyle, and now I have no issues with that at all. But I heard one person say it this way: we have 24 hours out of every day. Why not give 1 hour a day to take care of your physical body? So that's a principle I actually live by. I'm at the gym usually at least 30 minutes a day, and then I'll go on a walk, sometimes as little as 20 minutes, but sometimes even a whole hour. But it averages to be about an hour between the gym and me walking. It averages about an hour every single day. I think that's important. And what I eat, I'm very disciplined about it. I don't go around hungry. I make sure I get plenty of nutrients, but I'm keeping up with that, and I've got a system in place that works for me to keep me fit and healthy. So that's important to me. I can control that. And ironically, that's one of the things that a lot of people won't actually take responsibility for, even though they actually can control it. But it's easier to instead to focus on who's the president, or how you feel about abortion, or whatever people are saying on social media, or what actors say and believe, as if any of that actually affects my personal life. Reality TV shows, none of that matters. I know what matters, and for me, I've narrowed it down to those 5 things. If you haven't narrowed it down for yourself what those 5 things are, chances are you probably already have and you just don't realize it. How are you spending your time? Even if you're not a person who's big into worrying, as far as how you spend your time thinking, if you were to put it in blocks for the day, of how every 15-minute block of the day, how much is designated to each thing, that's how you ultimately determine your priorities. It's based on how you spend your time, your energy, your emotion. That ultimately determines what is of value to you, what you think about, what becomes your identity. And so for me, I can honestly say the 5 things I mentioned, that's my identity. Those things, more than anything, if you know me, then you probably know that conversations are going to come back to one of those 5 things in more than one way. That's probably just how it's going to be set up. But I think it's important too that in life, for life to have meaning, I think it's important for us to understand ourselves, to know our identity. Same thing, it's good to know what you're bad at in life so that you can know what you're good at in life. But if you don't know what your 5 stones are, what are those 5 things that are still going to matter 5 years from now, then it's hard to know really what to focus on. And it's easy to get distracted by silly little things like social media or reality TV shows or who's president, things that we don't actually control those, but yet we allow them to control us. I guess that's what it comes down to. You choose what the 5 things are, or maybe they choose you. Your comments belong right here.